Virginia. This state has 24 roller coasters and is home to the parks Kings Dominion and Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Today I'm going to be counting down the top 10 roller coasters in Virginia, and this is basically going to be a list of Busch Gardens Williamsburg and Kings Dominion coasters, since the coaster lineup outside of there is really weak, with a Python pit and a few other kiddie coasters. So I'm going to be focused on these two main parks and counting down the top 10. Before I get into the video, I want to mention that Pantheon and the new free spin coming to Kings Dominion will not be included on this list. If they were, I think Pantheon would place at number 1 or number 2. It depends really on what you think it would be. And the SNS free spin would probably place around number 6 or 7. Let's get into the video now. Number 10, Racer 75, a PTC wooden coaster at Kings Dominion. So, when you think of old woodies, what do you think of? Maybe Thunder Road, maybe Racer at Kings Island, maybe something like Colossus. Well, no, I think of Racer 75 because of how good a ride it is. With some parts getting retracked now, with some new gravity group track, this ride is smooth and it also has really good pops of floater airtime. And this ride is a classic that will live on for years to come. Number 9, Loch Ness Monster, a custom aero looper at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. This ride holds a special place in my heart. It was my first ever looping coaster, and I loved it back then. Now it's became a little rougher, and the transitions aren't up to standards today, but this ride is still a classic and is a really fun ride that I always want to get back to when I go to Busch Gardens. Number 8, InvadR, a GCI located at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Welcome back to Underrated Coasters, and on today's episode we're looking into InvadR at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. This ride is basically everything you could ever want from a GCI. It's got airtime, it's got laterals, it's got a good drop, not to mention it has a straight drop actually. And overall, the ride is great, and so many people don't talk about it, but I think they should. Number 7, Verbolten, a zero launch coaster at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. On to another family coaster, and this one is the best out of all 3 major family coasters at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I just love this ride. Low-key, love it. It's got the surprise element, it's got a gray out helix, it's intense, it's got a decent drop, and it's also got some good airtime moments. Talk about a great family coaster, and it's also got some of the best theming I've ever seen. Number 6, Dominator, a B&M floorless located at Kings Dominion. The first of 3 B&Ms in a row is going to be Dominator. This is the worst B&M in Virginia, but that's not saying it's a bad ride. It's actually really intense for a floorless coaster, and the transitions are pretty snappy to be honest. The one thing that I really don't like about the ride is that the vertical loop is kind of forceless, and you think because it's so big it would give some hang time, but it really doesn't. But the ride is pretty rapid fire focused, and it also has a few good inversions, and that's why I like the ride a lot. Number 5, Alpengeist, a B&M invert located at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. This ride is just pure intensity and rip your face off. You've got the 0G roll in the second half, you've got the corkscrew, you have the insane 170-foot drop, you have the great vertical loop, and you also have a ton of other good things about the ride. This ride is just super good, and I don't know why people trash on it. It's not that rough, and the headbanging isn't that bad. So, it's a really good ride for me, and I have it at number 5 on this list because of that. Number 4, Griffon, a B&M dive coaster located at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. People trash on B&M dive coasters and say they're one-trick ponies. And while I say they are one-trick ponies, the one trick that they do is really good. But Griffon isn't just about that one trick. You have the inversions, you have the water breaks, you have the insane airtime. You have a lot to take in with Griffon. And overall, it's a absolutely great ride, and I love riding it at Busch Gardens. Number 3, Intimidator 305, an Intamin Giga located at Kings Dominion. Okay, I should have done a trigger warning, but I'm not gonna, because I-305 is overrated, period. I mean, it's a one-trick pony just like Griffon, but it does that trick a little better. But it's not the same trick as Griffon. It absolutely ripped your face off intensity, and that blackout turn I did actually black out on. And the transitions are absolutely insane, and the ride is just a full intensity machine. But I do prefer the ejector and floater airtime over some intensity moments. And I-305 is really intense, but it's not the best coaster ever, and I'm not the biggest fan of it. Number 2, Apollo's Chariot, a B&M Hyper located at Busch Williamsburg. Okay, so remember when I said I prefer ejector and floater over intensity? Well, this is basically it. Apollo's Chariot is ejector and floater combined. The drop in the back row is pure ejector airtime because of that pre-drop, and the floater airtime hills give strong floater. I don't know why people trashed on it, saying it's the worst B&M Hyper, when it's a great ride, and it's actually my favorite B&M Hyper. This ride overall absolutely delivers everything you ever want in a hypercoaster, and it's absolutely insane how sustained that airtime is. Number 1, Twisted Timbers, an RMC hybrid located at King's Dominion. Alas, we reached the best coaster in Virginia, Twisted Timbers. This thing is a pure ejector machine. Just ejector airtime after ejector airtime. The triple camelbacks throw you out of your seat. And the barrel drop, cutback, and 0G roll all provide good hang time moments in the front, while there's whip in the back on them. And this ride is just a total package of airtime, intensity, inversions, and everything you ever want on a coaster. It's a great layout, and seriously, if you haven't been to King's Dominion yet, you have to get out to ride this thing. Anyways, that is going to be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, then please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. We are super close to 50 subscribers, and we may have hit that by the time this video is released. I will be doing a How I Became an Enthusiast for 50 subscribers, so stay tuned for that soon. Anyways, this is 0G Coasters. See you guys and keep on riding.